Art Laffer with us right now, the former Reagan economist and economics Svengali. Art, you know, the markets are tumbling today, reversing all of yesterday's gains. Now looking at the possibility that the Fed is going to look probably at this third quarter GDP report and conclude, given the fact that it was running at a 3.2% clip versus the 2.9% expected, that tightening will go on and on and on. Do you think that's right?
Well, the markets may be correct on today's move because of that. That's very possible. But what's really important here, Neil, is that market has been coming down, 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 down for a long time. And not only is it coming down, its decline is grossly underestimated because we're looking at the nominal stock market rather than the real stock market. So if you really were able to take this from, let's say, a year and a half ago, you'd have to knock another 10%, 3,000 points off that market just to get it adjusted for the real decline in the value of American assets. This is a long secular decline in asset values and in economic growth that's much more than just a day or a cycle. It's a real problem long term.
And what's weird about it, yesterday the big worry was sort of backseated that we were going to be heading into a recession. We had data indicating maybe not so. Today, we're back to worrying about, higher interest rates. And Greg Ip is writing in today's Wall Street Journal that if you're looking for any sense of alarm out of Washington, this $1.7 trillion spending measure is just the latest proof there is no alarm. What did you think of that?
Well, there is no alarm. I mean, this is a huge number. It's right in line with what's been going on for the last 3 years or so. I mean, we've had a huge increase in government spending, and it's done nothing except hurt the economy. It makes people not want to work. I don't know if you saw some of the stuff out of the University of Chicago on how much these people are paid not to work. Yeah. It's just incredible, and it keeps going and going and going and going.
That money hasn't, work, you know what, Art? I'm surprised that money hasn't run out. Now, obviously, it's ongoing because some of these people continue to receive such benefits. But that was the hope, in a weird way, of some economists and even market watchers that, they're going to run out of these COVID-era funds and they're going to have to get a job or they're going to have to do more than what they're doing now. So a lot of these 10+ million jobs that are going begging will continue going begging.
Yeah, once the money runs out from COVID, they put in more money for something else. They're never going to take these people off the intravenous until literally those rates get so high, Neil, that there's nothing left to do. They become the Japanification of America, which is really happening ever so slowly, but it's happening right now in the U.S. It's happened in Europe, and it just seems to never stop. I would think that when you got debt to GDP at 125% level, that would be sufficient to get people to think clearly. But no, I mean, even with these unfunded liabilities, which would make that number much, much higher, we need a total restructuring of the government and of legislation, to be honest. We need to have low-rate, broad-based flat taxes, spending restraint, sound money, minimal regulations, and free trade. And I mean free trade, and then get the government heck out of there and let the economy solve itself. We need a Ronald Reagan. We need a Jack Kemp. We need someone to be a steward of the economy rather than the purveyor and the disperser of fringe benefits for every voting class. Every single group you can think of gets their sort of little dole, and all the earmarks are there. Look at those earmarks, Neil. It's just shocking.
And that's what you use to get the overall package approved, and it's sort of like a down payment on that, to your point. But I'm curious, there does seem to be growing friction now within the Republican Party. As you know, many House Republicans are very mad at Mitch McConnell and other senators he's supposedly gotten. I think you need 10 in the Senate, who are on board with this spending. But the House Republicans are saying, well, why are we rushing this? We're going to have the majority, at least in the House, next month. So, do a continuing resolution or something to get us through the hump here. And then we can come up with something on our own. But the division has never been so stark between those two groups.
Yeah, it's true. And the Republicans in the House are correct on this specific issue. I don't see any reason for this omnibus bill. I think what the House says is correct here. But it's a small issue. I mean, when you look at Mitch McConnell, he did a great job with the Supreme Court, an immensely good job. It's very hard bringing all these people together when you don't have a vision of what you want America to look like. and they don't have a vision. That's why I keep hearkening back to Jack Kemp and Ronald Reagan and what we did in the 1980s by creating a vision of how to get America into prosperity, to get economic growth back. And that vision, that leadership is not here yet. And therefore, you're finding fights amongst Republicans who want this, that, or the other stuff, and all the bribery taking place. They call it earmarks, but it's really bribery. And people voting against what they know to be true in order to curry favors with their political benefactors back at home. They're sacrificing the country for their special interest groups back at home. And it's tragic, but it will end, Neil. And at some time, the political consensus will come back, and you're going to see a real strong leader coming out of one of the two parties, which will lead us to growth. It might well be Ted Cruz. It might well be Jared Polis out of Colorado. You never know. It can be Democrat or Republican, but someone's going to grab the reins, going to make the argument for a better America is better for everyone. A rising tide raises all boats. And I am very optimistic that this is what's going to happen. But it sure as heck is not happening today. I used the phrase with Larry Kudlow yesterday, and I probably shouldn't use it, but it's a pile of poop. All this stuff, and this bill should not be passed. But what can I tell you? It's probably going
to be. Either the announced, one announced Republican presidential candidate, but there are at least half a dozen, maybe a dozen others considering it, who stand out, who might be that future Reagan.
Oh, there are a lot of candidates that stand out. The Republicans have a lot. The Democrats have a lot. I mean, there are a lot of them in the
Who do you want to see?
Mansions.
Who do you want to see yourself? Who do you prefer?
I love the group that ran in 2016, Neil. In fact, I spent a lot of time with you at the convention there, if you'll remember, in South Carolina. And we had a lovely group of people, all of them capable of carrying the banner. Today, I can't tell you which one's a little higher than the other ones, but we have a huge group of Republicans who can do it. And there are a lot of Democrats who can do it too, Neil. This is not a Republican problem or a Democrat problem. It's an American problem. And, you know, I mentioned Jared Polis, I mentioned Ted Cruz, but there are lots and lots of others there who could do it. Tim Scott, I mean, what a great guy. What a terrific visionary. And I could go on and on and on. But we have that thing, and what you really want to see is the battle in the primary, honing this message on to get the dream. Low-rate, broad-based flat taxes, spending restraint, sound money, minimal regulations, and free trade with everyone.
Got it.
Don't use trade as a weapon. Use trade as a way of gaining prosperity and gaining influence in other countries, which we will if we do business with them.
Eloquently put. But
sorry for lecturing.
No. I felt like just saying, there you go again. But great job, my friend.
Well, that is what I'm doing. It's what I did in the 80s, too. It's exactly what I did there.
Absolutely.
And the 60s, it's just the same message.
You are nothing but consistent. And I'm glad you
Neil.
mentioned Democrats, too, because as you point out, you supported Bill Clinton and his efforts and what he did. So you're taking a look at the big picture.
Democrat.
I admire that.
I did Jerry Brown's flat tax when he ran for president.
Yes,
I mean, it's economics I love, Neil, not party.
I got it. And you're very, very good at it. Art, if we don't talk again, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, my friend. Art Laffer, the former Reagan economist, calls it as he sees it. It's not a hostage to either party, just wants to get something done, just wants to see this country grow again and boom again. It is possible.